Because the moment they take one look at me, I'm different. I'm different enough as it is. For example, one of the questions that was posed to me when I was part of the CAMP program, College Assistance Migrant Program. That program, because it's a migrant program and we're in an area where it's predominantly Hispanic, one of the questions that was posed to me was, how can someone like you be of help to the Hispanic population? I said, but I don't see them that way. Yes, they are, but they are also first generation, which I identify with. But there are also young ladies who want to study STEM, which I identify with. There are students that struggle being in college, which I identify with. So I said, we just need to look beyond the color of the skin, that we have female parts instead of male parts, that we are common in these areas, that we can help each other. So it's, instead of looking at differences, we should look at commonalities that we have. So, you know, we're going to have bias. If you like strawberry milk, I like chocolate milk. We're going to always have biases based on anything. But it doesn't mean that just because you like strawberry milk and I like the chocolate milk, we can't sit together and you can drink your strawberry and I can drink my chocolate milk. See, the thing is, we should be able to sit at a table together, enjoy that I will never taste strawberry milk and you'll never taste chocolate milk, but yet we can sit down and have a conversation.
Exactly.
And so we've got to look beyond that. So I can't change people's biases, but I have to be able to help my daughter adapt, because as long as she's the one in the forefront, I can never be in the school every day with her to protect her. She has to learn to protect herself until she's accepting of those biases and able to deal with those biases. I have to take a step back.
So how would you say you handle discrimination, bias, and prejudice, not just against your daughter, but against yourself?
In terms of me, I think it's mostly conversation. Get to know the person. You know, I think it's like working with camp. First time the students see me and they go, whoa, she's very different. Yes, they're very different. I can be tough on them. I'm going to have high expectations. But one thing I've always asked them, that if you ever need help and you ask me, I have never said no. And the reason is, my door is always open. You can ask me any question you want. We need to be able to have that, whether the conversation is about discrimination, the conversation is about sexual assault. If I cannot find an answer for you, I'll find somebody to help you. I need to be a person of a resource and a person that they're not shy of approaching. Then we can have that face-to-face conversation. We can have that, you know, truth conversation where we talk about discrimination. And so until I am willing to listen and learn from them, I cannot have that conversation. So with anybody else, I think that that's most important, is that we need to have an open heart and open mind, and says, I'm here, teach me. Tell me what your experiences are before you say, these are my experiences, blah, 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 blah. You know, I am not pushing my experiences. I'm trying to allow the other person to bring out their experiences and their expectations, and to know what do you want from me? What do you think should change? When we listen and we are willing and being open to what they're saying, then we can have the conversation. Because if all we do is argue with them about, here are my experiences, you're going to accept it, people are not going to do that. People are more accepting when they said, okay, you're willing to listen to me. You're willing to take my words and put it into action to help me. The moment that person feels like they're safe and they're being listened to and things are changing because they are being discriminated, then they are willing to open up and listen to you. So we have to make that initial step of stepping back and listening first.
How often would you say that you experience some sort of bias, discrimination, or insensitivity? Once a week, once a day, more or less?
Tells you how often I go and visit Walmart or the grocery store. That's how often, yeah. Because you think that places like that won't occur, but it's very interesting. You can have, and it happens a lot with is younger generation is not so much, it's the older generation. It seems like they have more biases.
The older.
Yes. If I were shopping at a grocery store and we have a few young men that works in the grocery section where fruit and vegetables are, and I look like I'm lost, I'm looking for something, they are more likely to ask me, "Ma'am, can I help you?" But if there's an older person who's checking you out and scanning all the groceries, and you're trying to ask a question, they'll be the first one to not listen to you. So I think preconception, especially with younger, they're a lot more pliable because they're learning. Someone who has gotten to an older age are so set in their ways, they won't change. So they have a difficulty changing. So they're the ones who least helpful to me, least to extend a helping hand. It's mostly the older generation because, if they've gone through World War II, they look at me and they think, okay, you're Asian, so, you were on the other side of the war. But I wasn't even born. I'm not even anywhere close. In fact, the Japanese invaded my country. What are you talking about? We're on the same side. But they don't see it that way. So they have a tendency not to be the one helping. So if anything else, is like if I go to a shop, fix-it shop for my car, I won't go in. I'll tell my husband to go take it in. He's more likely to get it. Yeah. It goes on. It still goes on.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah. What about, like you mentioned, and I have been reading about this, like even like in Mexico, there's different cultures in every state. Is it this different, not different languages so much for us, but different way we say things? And I read like for you, it's different languages and different, like somebody to your neighbor in the other state.
Right.
And even with kids that I have worked with.
Yes.
Do you think y'all are close as a continent, like a big country, or everybody's just, oh, I'm from here, that's my language? No, there's something.
Well, my country's really, really small, and it's very divided.
Yes.
So, my country is divided into three sections: the Muslims, the Chinese, and the Indians from India. It's very, very clear where the lines are. And it's very, very clear who runs the country. So, we tend to have a tendency to help ourselves and people who are most like us, because we're a lot more trusting of people who are like us. We hate to say it, but it's just human nature. We need to build that relationship across, and unfortunately, it only happens if a person extends it. So you see them more personal. Somebody who's Asian, who has an Indian friend or a co-worker for a lot of years, that they see that there's a relationship there. Until that happens, you don't see that expand to their families or to extended families or to whole businesses. It's very seldom. It's just, that's my friend, and I know I can trust them, and I know I can help them. So you will always see that, just like you cannot get a country as large as this whose dissection is even more diverse. Because not only if you look at the sections being off, gender-wise, culture-wise, age-wise, you can pick any difference that you want, and we are separated by that. Because if you look at me and I look at you, I don't know your sexual orientation, you don't know mine. But yet, we've already made that impression that, oh, she looks kind of gay. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, if within our own culture, do we do that to each other? Oh yeah, absolutely. But yet, when we separate ourselves, like when I come over here, and if I have to look for someone who's Malaysian, the closest one's going to be in Dallas. Am I going to be dumb enough to isolate myself? No. because I had a daughter that I want to educate in my own culture. And what I found when I was teaching here is a very, very nice community of refugees who are the Vietnamese and the Laotians. And they have a background like I do. We're here by ourselves. We don't have any extended family. It might be a mom and 2 kids, and it might be a dad and a son. And it's like they're trying to escape their own country, and they're trying to escape a country that suppressed them. So we find similarities here. We don't have extended family. The rest of our family are half a world away. Well, we come together. You make your cultural food, I make my cultural food. We get together. We celebrate Christmas. And the thing is, sometimes we find commonalities with each other out of necessity. So as much as we are divided within our own country, when we have no choice, we find a common goal. So don't wait until you are at a point where you are needing that.
Give an example of the kind of prejudice that you encounter that you think is most harmful to persons from your group.
You know, I can't even think I can identify a person in my group. When I talk whether I'm Asian or I'm a woman, it's like I belong to so many groups. So it's hard for me to say that I belong to one group. What is most harmful? Oh gosh.